and welcome back to Reform Perspective. I am Josiah Espinoza. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about this article that I read on Time magazine. It's this article right here. As you can see, the headline is Republicans Take Upper Hand in Fight to Defund Planned Parenthood. That's right. For the first time since Roe versus Wade, the Christian or conservative or pro-life movement is actually on the offensive side. Thank God. I mean, for how long have conservative and Christians and pro-life advocates, how long have they had to stand by? How long have they had to stand by and watch babies being murdered in the womb and simply do everything they can to try to save just a handful of people, a handful of children from women who would wish to murder their unborn babies? I know the arguments. I've heard them all. I don't condone the raping of women, which is automatically what people rush to. If a woman is raped by her perpetrator, the answer is not to kill the baby. It's not the baby's fault. If a woman feels like she says that the most essential purpose for her to not have a baby at that time is because she's not ready, then she should have thought of the consequences of having a free sexual life. Now, okay, I don't think as Christians we are to force upon a nation, upon a people that don't agree with our worldview and that don't agree with our belief system about sexual purity, and about a monogamous relationship, but only in marriage. I don't think we should try to force on them a certain standard of living. We are to stand up for the truth, and that is that we should be for marriage, always, and only sex in marriage. And anything outside of the God-ordained institution of marriage that is between one man and one woman, if we're going to stand for it, let us stand firmly in it, absolutely. But we cannot force people to adopt our point of view, not in the slightest, not in the least. But we can hold people accountable for their actions, always. And part of the consequences of sex is a baby, and it's not even a negative consequence. It is a beautiful, wonderful blessing from God. And for a nation to say that's not a blessing and that's actually a curse, to have a baby, you're not ready for a baby, you're not done with school, you're not done with your career, that's actually a curse for you right now. That is evil, in both in the eyes of God and in the moral sense. And so it makes me happy to see these headline news that they're going to defund Planned Parenthood, and I'm not ashamed to say it at all. I'm not ashamed to say it at all. So the article says, for the first time in 8 years, Dannenfelser and anti-abortion advocates are on the offense and hoping their electoral work will pay off. On Thursday, House Speaker Paul Ryan formally announced that Republicans will strip federal funding from Planned Parenthood in a budget that will also repeal the Affordable Care Act. Planned Parenthood and its allies are promising a fight against daunting odds. Regardless of what Paul Ryan says and what he does, we are not going away. We are not going anywhere. Planned Parenthood President Cecil Richards says, "You can't completely end a public healthcare system in America and not think about what the impact will be on the folks who have least access to care." Well, the philosophy or the political stance of whether or not healthcare should be free is debatable, but the majority of the United States patients who need medical care don't go to Planned Parenthood for the sniffles. We all know what happens at Planned Parenthood. Um, I mean, well, look at what the article continues to say. Defunding Planned Parenthood, a legislative priority of abortion opponents throughout Obama's presidency, would have a significant impact on the group's ability to provide healthcare services, particularly for low-income women and men. Really? Men go to Planned Parenthood? I don't know any man who says, you know what? I think I got indigestion or heartburn and I think I need to go see Planned Parenthood. I don't think that's how it works at all. Um, I think this is just a one way to try to sway the hearts and the minds of the American people to say, "Oh, low income, yeah, maybe we shouldn't take it away." Well, the reason medical insurances and medical bills are so high is because we don't have competition. The more the government pays hospitals and healthcare providers, the more they're going to jack up the prices because government's going to pay for it. And the government got money, supposedly. I mean, they're only trillions of dollars in debt. So, but, I think I saw a couple of tweets from Ben Shapiro tweeting some other people about whether or not healthcare should be a right of a person in order to receive healthcare. And people, of course, I mean, it makes sense to a lot of people to simply say, yeah, of course, humans need to be healthy, and therefore healthcare should be a right. Somebody should have absolute care for their health, and the government should pay for it. And Ben Shapiro is against it. He thinks that that people should be able to get healthcare outside of the states, in order for there to be competition between, healthcare providers from state to state, so that healthcare goes down, the prices go down. He equivalated the provision of a healthcare provider to that of somebody who is selling furniture. I mean, I don't think it's the best analogy, but his whole point was you cannot force upon somebody a certain provision of service. You cannot force upon somebody services. Just like you wouldn't force somebody who makes furniture to make you furniture. His idea is that you shouldn't force somebody to pay for someone else's health insurance, and that you shouldn't force healthcare providers to see patients and to give health service, because then that brings down healthcare quality. That brings down time frames in which you can be seen. I mean, it takes some people 2 or 3 months just to be seen, which is crazy. By then, you can already die of all sorts of diseases before you even get seen, before they even check your blood pressure. So, I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think healthcare is an actual right? If so, does Planned Parenthood fall in that category of a right to healthcare? Well, that's for one debate, but for the side I'm taking, I think Planned Parenthood should be stripped of all their funds, all their federal funds. My taxpayer dollars, other people's taxpayer dollars, should not be going to people who want to kill their babies, especially if we don't even agree with that point of view. Especially if we think that it is morally reprehensible to do that. And yes, it is evil. I will say that gladly. It is evil to murder the child in the womb. Well, it goes on to say, Planned Parenthood affiliates received $553 million in government funding in 2014, which accounted for more than 40% of their total $1.3 billion revenue. Planned Parenthood is a billion-dollar industry. That is crazy, especially because they sell baby parts. If you haven't seen it, Veritas put out videos of Planned Parenthood executives selling baby parts. And it wasn't a hoax. Those were real videos. And if you are not appalled by it, if you are not appalled by those videos, if you are not thoroughly disgusted with the fact that people can sell little babies' body parts for financial gain, I don't know what kind of sense of morality you have at all. Anyways, well, part of this video, I wanted to talk about the transition of the narrative in the United States. This is a Gallup poll that was taken not too long ago. And this Gallup poll actually shows people who are pro-choice and pro-life. And this was taken in 2016, and it says 47% are pro-choice and 46% are pro-life. That is amazing. That goes to tell me that half of the United States thinks that any type of abortion is morally reprehensible, morally wrong. Very few people in the United States believe that it's okay to kill a baby anytime they want. And one of those horrible people is Hillary Clinton. So if you are not totally disgusted with what's happening in the United States since Roe versus Wade, almost 60 million babies have been aborted. Almost 60 million. I think it's like 58.2 or 58.3 million babies have been killed in the womb since 1969, I think it is, since Roe versus Wade. That is genocide. If that's not genocide, I don't know what is, because that is genocide. America is responsible for one of the largest genocides in all of human history, compared to China's genocide of the unborn. Well, I also wanted to see an abortion data from 2013. This is from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. It says in 2013, 664,435 legal induced abortions were reported to CDC from 49 reporting areas. The abortion rate from 2013 was 12.5% or 12.5 abortions per 1,000 women aged 15 through 44. And the abortion ratio was 200 abortions per 1,000 lives birthed. That means 2 out of 10 babies that were conceived were killed in the womb. And that is a significant number of people. I tend to think about those babies and whether or not they would have grown up to be the next, scientist who would break through in some kind of cure for an incurable disease, or whether or not they would be like the next Beethoven or Mozart, or if they would be the next Galileo, or if they would be the next great musician in the world, or who knows? Who knows? Only God knows. It says, compared with 2012, the total number, rate, and ratio of reported abortions for 2013 decreased 5%. And of course it decreased 5%. It's not because people are having less sex and they're less free in having sex. It's because there's more preventative ways of not getting pregnant, of course. So with science coming out and actually providing more means of ensuring that pregnancy doesn't happen to begin with, so of course there's going to be less abortions because there's less conceptions. There's less babies being conceived. So it only perpetrates more sexual freedom. And again, if we defund Planned Parenthood, then we have to start teaching our kids again about the moral responsibility of sex. What could be the outcome of sex? Well, a baby. And if you're not ready for a baby, then if you're going to have sex, which you probably shouldn't at 14 or 15 years old, but if you're going to have it, ensure that you are taking every single precaution and not just having sex with whoever you want and just going wild in your sexual endeavors. But that is the push of not only the liberal left, but of feminism and of the sexual revolution and of the media, the social media. I mean, not too long ago, 50 Shades of Grey came out. If that doesn't cry out, sexual freedom and sexual revolution, I don't know what does. Anyways, the last little piece of information I want to talk about is from the scriptures itself. Psalm 127, verse 3 through 5. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb, a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Blessed is the man who fills his quiver with them. He shall not be put to shame when he speaks with his enemies in the gate. And that's the reality of children. They are a blessing from God. And the more children you have, the bigger your life is going to be full of blessings. I mean, I have 3 kids of my own. I plan on having more. I plan on adopting. I hope and I pray that God would send me to a woman who is contemplating abortion, that God would send me and my wife to that person who is contemplating abortion and changing their minds, hopefully, so that we would be able to adopt a child if they're willing to birth it. The baby is not your body. Your blood doesn't even come in contact with the baby. If you had a terrible disease, they could remove your womb entirely. A radical hysterectomy, and you can continue to live. I mean, they can do that with a lot of body parts, but to assume that the baby that is in a womb that is attached to the lining of that uterus, that doesn't receive direct blood flow from you, the mother, that only takes what is needed to grow a baby as you eat. And as Americans, we eat well. To say that is my body, as you rip apart a body that's not even yours, I think you should really check your own heart and your own mind and recognize that, first of all, that's not your body. And second of all, you're murdering someone else. Someone that you're supposed to cherish and care for and love and nurture and provide for. That you're just taking that child and murdering it without even thinking about it because, well, then my clothes aren't going to fit the same way that they used to, or I'm going to have stretch marks, or my career's not done, or I'm not ready, or any other selfish reasons. I pray that you would repent, that God would show you the error of your ways, and that you would come to the feet of Jesus. But hey, who am I? I'm just a Christian, right? What do I know? Well, I do know one thing for certain, and that is that I have the moral position on this. All those who are pro-life know, all those who are pro-abortion know that the pro-lifers actually have the moral position on this. And I'm glad that the narrative is changing. I hope and I pray that Planned Parenthood does get defunded, and that we continue to see a shift in the narratives being portrayed in the United States. So I pray for this nation. I pray for the babies. I pray that pro-life advocates would continue to push forward with absolute assurity and knowing, and absolute conviction in knowing that they are doing the right thing. Well, thanks for listening. I hope you guys are blessed by these videos. You guys leave comments below, subscribe to my YouTube channel, share this video. Let's fight for life, fight for the babies. Pro-life movement. Let's continue pushing, and let's defund Planned Parenthood. All right, guys. God bless.